Hey Queens, and welcome to the Lashes and Sashes podcast. I'm so excited to have former Miss Lakeland, Amanda Kronhaus, and now current board of directors for the Miss Lakeland Organization.
I am on the board. I just joined. Yes, thank you.
Yes. Very exciting. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we get into your whole Miss America journey, because I think that is so beautiful, I first want to get started on how did you even start getting into pageants?
So when I was 8 years old, my mom was the director of our cheerleading, like kindergarten cheerleading squad. And so we always got American Cheerleader magazine. And for those of us who remember back in the day when NAM had these advertisements in magazines, I was reading that magazine and saw it and said, Mom, I want to do this. And I don't really remember this, but apparently I wouldn't let it go. And so I did it at 8 years old, and I ran off the stage in the actors competition.
Oh my God.
Which is funny now that this is what I do for, it's so funny. I was 8, but then I got back up and I did it because that's what you do because the show goes on. And then in 2010, I had the amazing time to be sister queens with Elizabeth Treya in 2010. I actually looked this up. I was like, what year was that? It was 2010.
Was it 2010?
And it was 2010. And so I did NAM like most summers for I don't know, several years, many years. And it was just something that I did. I wasn't like on the pageant circuit doing all the different pageants. It was just something I loved to do in the summer. And so I did it for a while. And then I think I stopped when I was maybe like 15 or so, 16. And then my journey began into other organizations, such as Miss America.
Yes. I was going to say, when did you get started with Miss America Organization?
Yeah, so my story is something I just really love to talk about because I just always tell people that, it's not about winning the first time or, coming at this. So many people, I had to work really hard at this. So my story is I wanted to compete in teen my last year of eligibility, and I actually was going to, and then I ended up getting the opportunity to sing with this group at Carnegie Hall. And it conflicted with orientation and they wouldn't let me do it. So I was like, okay, I'll just do it as a Miss. So I competed in Miss Orlando 2015 on my 18th birthday. That was my very first local. Nothing happened after that. And then I remember the next weekend I competed at Miss Apopka 2015 and I was runner-up. And okay, maybe I have something to do this. So I competed in like 15 locals over 2 years and I never won. And so,
my God.
And I was constantly told, my interview was great, my talent was great, but my swimsuit was not it. And I had a thyroid disorder, and actually I struggled with obesity as a child. I had lost 40 pounds in my senior year of high school, but it didn't matter. And so it was just really hard. And so I actually gave up pageantry for a little bit, and I went to college out of state. I went to Oklahoma City University, which actually has the most Miss Americas of any university.
Yeah.
And I actually came back and did Cinderella on a complete whim because I was talked by some of my friends to just try it. And I ended up having the state title. I went to internationals, and it was actually the best thing I could have done for myself because it kind of helped me re-fall in love with pageantry. Actually, the girl who was my tot is now going to be a junior bridesmaid in my wedding. You just meet people you meet in pageantry are just the best people. And so anyway, I took a break and I actually competed at Miss OCU 1 year, but I took a break and
Miss
then
America Local.
Yeah, Miss America Local for my school.
Got it.
And then
the most Miss America's at the school.
It's competitive.
Orlando was the most competitive Miss America Local.
No, because the winner wins a full year of tuition too, the whole year paid for. Insane. But
Kristen Chenoweth, Miss Oklahoma
Kristen
City
Chenoweth
University?
was Miss. Correct. Yes, Kristen Chenoweth. Yes.
Okay.
My absolute favorite person. Favorite star. Okay. Anyways, so I could go on about Kristen Chenoweth, so let's focus. Yeah. So anyways, I ended up my senior year, I was just doing a show in Miss America, Miss Florida had announced what they call sweeps, which is basically the last pageant of the season that's open to anyone in state. Usually you used to have had competed at a local, which obviously I hadn't.
Mhm.
I had taken a step away, but they opened it up to anyone. And this was the first time that Miss America wasn't going to have a swimsuit competition. So I said, you
Oh,
know what? I was like, I'm just going to try it. I
yeah.
had not competed in like 2 years. And I won
Hmm.
my first title, and I went to Miss Florida, and I was top 10, and it was crazy. It was wild. It was the wildest experience. And it was just completely like so last minute, such a wild, yeah. And so I was Miss Pinellas County that year, and then I ended up holding 3 more titles. So I had 4 titles over 5 years. And then the next year I was Miss Apopka, which was so special to me because that was my very first scholarship I ever won.
Yeah.
And I just really have had the most incredible experience in the Miss America organization.
I believe it. I believe it because I'm still floored that you went in last minute and made top 10 at Miss Florida.
That was
And
wild.
it's 1 year and 15 locals because that's not easy. Like, that is
No.
not, people train for multiple years because they win one local after
Yes.
another, after another, after another. Like,
Yes.
that, to be even top 15, I
Oh,
remember, like,
yes.
I
And I
I
didn't
could
make
be,
top 10 every other year. Like, you know, every year was different. I always got some
absolutely.
great, but like, so it was just every
The
year is
scholarships,
the
that's
scholarships are
at the end of
I
the
mean,
day.
it's been incredible. Like, I don't know the full number off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
you know, in the five digit, you know, tens of thousands, like
And you
truly
don't
tens
even
of
have to
thousands of
win the
dollars.
pageant, even just
No,
your
you
local
don't.
title
And
alone.
I think, you know, it's just I obviously, you know, I never won Miss Florida, but the things that I've gained from the organization and getting able to go back this year, this year was the first year I hadn't competed in 5 years. And
Mm-hmm.
I went back, and actually, one of the things I really wanted to do was I wrote a card to every single girl competing, even girls I didn't know. And I really wanted to give back. And I just was like, you know what? I may never have served as Miss Florida, but you can still be that person. And I really learned
100%.
that, especially as Miss Lakeland. We the first year it was just one girl, and then the next year they crowned 3 misses and 3 teams.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
really help plan and had a big role
Mm-hmm.
in helping plan that pageant. And it was the most special moment
Oh,
because I had the most incredible just send off, and it was beautiful. But I really learned how to be like, you know, this is something I want to do, which is why I decided to join the board and was honored to be asked. And so
well,
now I'm
I
getting to
mean,
give
they're
back in
so lucky
another
to
way.
have you. The Miss Lakeland Board, the Miss America Organization, you are such a testament to everything good that it has provided for girls, even if they don't win. And honestly,
Absolutely.
I would even argue the things that you're doing now, like you're traveling across the state performing. You're
Yes.
doing like the real musical theater work. If you don't mind, I mean, I might be jumping,
Sure.
but yeah, like
Please.
can you tell me more about your career
Yeah.
right
Yeah, so I am just so incredibly grateful. So I went to school for theater, and then 6 months later, the COVID-19 happened when
now?
after I graduated, which was really, really hard. But in
Yeah.
addition to, so I actually ended up I worked for Barbers on USA for 3.5 years and teaching
Okay.
modeling and acting.
Okay.
And I did that. And then about 2022 is kind of when things got a little bit normal in the industry I trained for.
Yes.
So I started
Yes.
performing again. Eventually was really lucky and grateful to be able to do it more full time in the last year.
Mhm.
And so I did a children's tour across the state, got to perform in some amazing places, including Mahaffey Theater, which is where we met, or we saw each other, where Miss Florida
Yes.
used to
Miss
be.
Florida.
So I
Crazy.
performed there, which was the coolest thing because it was like it's the most beautiful theater. I mean, RP Funding
Mhm.
Center is great, where we have Miss Florida now, but Mahaffey is gorgeous, and it was just so special because I remember going there at like 17, being like, I want to be on that stage competing in
Yes.
Miss Florida. Well,
Yes.
God has a funny way of working everything out.
And you got
But
that's what I mean. Like you're doing, I don't want to say you're doing
yes,
more than, but you're doing
yes. I'm
what
going to
girls
really
have
live
and
my
Peter would
dream.
dream.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
know you are too, and with all your modeling and
Thank you.
everything. But yeah,
Thank you.
I signed with BMG, so I'm also doing the
Oh,
modeling and
congrats.
acting grind. Um,
Oh,
I have driven from Tampa to Miami and back in a day
oh
for
my gosh.
wild. Well, I'm all over the place, but I
You're
absolutely
Florida's
love
Kristen
it.
Chenoweth. I love
I'm
it.
trying out here.
Oh, I love it.
And it's actually incredible the amount of opportunities that are here. I'm lucky that I also do go to New York and do things up there as well, and I'm hoping to do
Yeah.
so even more after I get married in January, which is very exciting.
Oh, this
But
is also exciting.
so much is going on. But
Yeah.
it's a true testament because without the skills I gained in pageantry, I could not handle doing all that I do. I mean, when you've gotten up on stage and you are able to speak in front of people, I mean, I always tell people
Mhm.
it's the best, especially anyone that is in the entertainment industry, being able to do a pageant and being able to go up on stage as yourself. So many people for actors, they get so uncomfortable in auditions because you have to be yourself.
Oh,
And most
yeah.
people are used to hiding behind a character. And, you know,
Math.
when you're
Yeah. Mhm.
masking that. And so in pageantry, you know, I'm so comfortable just being Amanda because that's what
Wow.
I did for years and years in pageantry, and just being able to hold myself and just the skills I've gained is incredible. And so that's why I just advocate so much, and not even just Miss America, just any, whatever organization fits you, because I love that
Absolutely.
pageantry is just has so many different platforms. I mean, I started because I love to sing and I wanted to have something that incorporated that as well. But I just love, you know, the success that so many people have in so many different organizations, and how wide
Mhm.
this industry is, I think is incredible. And I just have met some of my most incredible people through pageantry, including you.
Oh,
So,
thank you. Thank you. I mean, it is crazy to think because I actually, when you said 2010, I'm like, wait a minute, you're right. 2010 was 14 years
that
ago.
was so,
So, yep, yep, that's crazy. That's when
yeah.
we met.
I
But
was 13.
it's
Yeah.
just beautiful that like when we were at the Mahaffey Theater, like I guess because I was doing Miss America, Florida's
Right.
Outstanding Queen, and I kind of wrapped it up. I was like, nope, I'm not talented. Like this is not for
You
me. It is
are.
what it is. I'm not singing talented. I'm not you in that way. Okay,
No,
so
well, I'm not you in many other ways, so I get you. We all
we
have gifts.
yes, exactly. We all have gifts. And so I was like, it is what it is. But I will say, like you said, the experience in the Miss America organization has, because it's focused on scholarship, because there's such an emphasis on service, like it really
Hmm.
pushes girls to be so well rounded
Yes.
in all these different facets. And I think for you to give back now in the Miss Lakeland board and helping these girls and mentoring them, I think it's so beautiful. And I'm like, I just applaud you for doing that and really
Thank
being that
you.
example and like telling people, yes, you can still compete in pageants, and even if you don't win, you can still make a living doing theater. And like that's something even in
Yes.
high school that people were like, is that possible? Like,
It is. I
you
promise
know?
you. And you have to be versatile. You have to be able to do, you know, I do a lot of different things. Like I said, I've done all kinds of, you know, I'm constantly looking at auditions. I'm constantly traveling. I'm
Mhm.
constantly, you know, finding new things. And you just have to make it work. But again,
Yeah.
when you have learned the skills on how to do that, and it was so funny
Mhm.
because I always have just been like, I was saying to someone not that long ago, especially when I was traveling for my job, and I was like, you know,
Yeah,
my
going on
goal
tour.
was to travel the state, and I'm doing it. I'm in a whole
Yeah,
different way.
just like
So
Miss Florida and
just like
performing
Miss
in the
Florida
Mahaffey Theater,
and
just like Miss
performing
Florida.
and see, so you know,
Yeah,
I
I get it.
truly do believe that, you know, there was such a plan on my life. And I actually remember when I
Yes.
was a kid doing NAM and like wanting to win NAM so bad, but you know, and
Mhm.
really, and then like and then getting older and competing in Miss Florida locals and
Yep.
not winning. I remember like truly like asking God, like, why do I have this heart for pageant? Like, I love pageantry, but it just feels like
Mhm.
it's not in the cards for me. And it was just so hard and heartbreaking. And then
Yeah.
flash forward all these years later, the plan that is on your life is just so much bigger than what you
Yes.
have. And so if you have a passion for something, I've just truly learned that you have to just keep pursuing it because the timing, you can't even plan it.
No, it's crazy. And I really think it's like what at the end of the day, the Miss Florida title or a crown or whatever, it's cool, it's good for our ego, but it's just kind of the stepping stone to reach these bigger goals, because regardless,
Absolutely.
you're only going to have that title for a year. So it's great
Absolutely.
for you to be Miss Lakeland, or for me to be Miss Miami Beach USA or Nation of States now,
Absolutely.
but if you don't use it to then go to those bigger goals that you always wanted, traveling the state, being in Manhattan Theater,
Yes.
performing,
Yes.
and even like the way you say it's the same with me when I was like, I want to be Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen so I could promote Children's Miracle Network, so I
Right.
could put Team Go Green out there. And I didn't make top 10 my final year when I gave it my all, but I got to do all those things I wanted in a different avenue. But if I didn't get the skills from Miss America, I wouldn't be at that place.
Without a doubt. I always
Yeah.
try to tell anyone that wants to compete in any, in any pageant, if you don't win it first, keep going. And if it's
Mm-hmm.
not in the cards for you to be, that state or national title that you dream of, use what you've been given, especially for any local title holders listening to this. There is so much you can do with a local crown. And I think most girls just get so sidetracked and thinking, oh, well, if I didn't win state, then I'm a loser. I'm like, you still have a crown on your head. And there are so many girls that
Mm-hmm.
would just give anything to have that opportunity, and because you are a role model to so many people in your community,
Mm-hmm.
and that is something you'll get to carry with you forever. I mean, I just did a show in St. Petersburg, and I was Miss St. Pete 2023. No,
Okay.
2022. Oh gosh, I'm getting this is 2024, 2022, and that was like in my bio. They were like, you were Miss St. Pete. That is so cool.
Oh,
So you just never know what people.
yeah.
It's wild. It's wild. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Okay. So then I also have to ask, because you were in the Miss Florida organization
Mm-hmm.
for 5 years. So
Yes.
did you go through every era? Like,
I have competed. Yes, I have. So I didn't compete at state in swimsuit, but I have done the true Miss America gamut. Yes. So when
yes.
I competed in locals, it was
Uh-huh.
swimsuit, like old school Miss
Sam
America.
Haskell. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Then the first year I went to state was the first 2.0 competition. And then my
Got it.
last year at state was Miss America Fit, which I actually really did enjoy. Like, that was to me the right balance. I think that Miss America is in a
Mm-hmm.
great place. I like,
Yeah.
because I like that. I actually think is like exactly, we're in the right era. I think we've kind of
Mm-hmm.
found. And I went to Miss America this year. I went in Orlando. I don't
Okay.
know if, and
Yeah.
it was just a really beautiful experience, because it
Good.
really felt like Miss America was. I truly think it's just an incredible organization, and
Mm-hmm.
it just felt really alive, which was just really, really heartwarming
A
when we were
thousand
all
percent agree.
together. And
Mm-hmm.
so we will see what happens next. But yes, I have competed in all of the eras, and I love each one of them for what they were.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we've gotten to a good happy medium.
I'm glad to hear. Yeah, because I mean, it's crazy because Robin was formerly the Miss Florida USA
Right,
director.
right.
And so there were so many similarities in terms of the production, the sponsors, the glamorous look and feel, but they still had that classic Miss America. Like, at least for us growing up watching it, when we think of it, we think of Boardwalk, Atlantic
Sure.
City. You
Sure.
know what I mean? So, like, she just tied in a little bit, like, whereas 2.0 was so far on
Yes.
the other end, which I like
Yes.
the intention. I like the goal behind it because it can recruit more college students. And like you said about swimsuit, even for me, like, I model in swimsuits and I compete in swimsuit pageants, but I do think there should be a place and a space for pageants without swimsuit competition.
Yes. The thing is I totally see the benefit of that for so many people. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
with my history and it's just unfortunate with me. I could never do it in a healthy way, and it was just not healthy for me.
Mm-hmm.
And fitness was a little different, but it's still, it's just hard, especially as someone who has, struggled in so many different ways in that area. But
Got
I
it.
think it's so important that is a space that is like,
Mm-hmm.
there should be opportunities for everyone. And
Exactly.
I think the big thing that especially they had with it in going into 2.0 was like, oh, we shouldn't have to do that for scholarships because that's a scholarship program.
Yes. Agreed.
I have, again, mixed feelings. I like that we're
Hmm.
incorporating health and fitness because a big part of my initiative was about health and fitness and
Yes,
wellness.
I love what you were promoting on
And
social
so
media
I
about
thought
it.
it was I think that's so incredible, but I just want everyone to do it in a healthy way. And I just, from
Exactly.
everything that I heard and I saw at locals back when there
Hmm.
was swimsuit, and I'm sure you've seen it USA,
Yeah,
it's not always done in a healthy way, which is really, really
agreed.
sad.
It is
Um,
sad.
because it should be promoting health and
Hmm.
wellness and sustainability.
Yes.
And
Yes.
unfortunately, I do think we've gotten to such a more inclusive place than we
Oh
were
yeah,
not
compared to where
10
we were
years ago.
before,
Right.
exactly. We've gone
Yes,
kilometers.
it's
Still more room for improvement,
true,
absolutely.
true.
Going back then, how long were you involved in the NAM organization and Cinderella?
So I did NAM, I believe 8 years. Maybe I skipped a
Okay.
year or so,
Wow.
8 years.
Okay.
I actually learned that I love print modeling through NAM. Because I'll just tell this story real quick. So I did the top model competition for the first time, I don't know,
Yeah.
junior teen at some point.
Uh-huh.
And I was, to me, it's acting, like model, like
Yeah.
that kind of, because I'm not a runway girl. Like, I'm not high
Okay.
fashion. I'm 5'6" and, not
Hmm.
a high fashion model, but I was doing that competition, and to me, it's just acting, being in front of a
Yeah.
camera. And the guy came out to my mom and was like, "Does she model?" And my mom started hysterically laughing and was like,
Oh,
"No, what are you talking about?" And then I was first runner up that year, and then I won the next year, and I was like, "Oh, maybe I can do both." And like, it's been really cool because I just signed with my agent
yeah.
not that long ago, and the gigs I've
Hmm.
booked so far have actually been mostly the one act, but like mostly modeling work.
Well,
And
yeah,
so
and
you can
commercial
really,
print makes the most money.
yes, exactly. That's what I always, yes. So
Yes.
it's been really, really cool to be able, I thank pageantry for helping me because I always loved acting, but I never like saw myself as that
Uh-huh.
as well. And so now it's just the more you can do, the more versatile you are, the more you have to do in
Yeah.
this industry. So
Hmm.
that's another thing I have to attest. So I did NAM, and then I did Miss America Locals, took a break, I was asked to come do Cinderella,
Yeah.
did Cinderella. I just did Cinderella the one year, but I actually judged Cinderella this year. So I've stayed
Okay,
involved
okay.
with
That's why
them.
I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
I
was
saw
like,
you there again, but you
yes,
were judging. Okay, that
I
makes
was
sense.
judged this. I judged at state this year. I've pretty much
Hmm.
gone to state a lot to help, and but I only
Ah,
competed the one year because then I took a break, and then I
that's
did
true. And then when
Miss
you did the locals,
Florida.
the hardest thing, it's hard to leave Miss Florida because you have to keep that title for the year,
Oh yeah,
unless you compete for another local. So it's
yes,
kind of like, well, all
yes.
right, I guess it's
I
not like,
No, I mean, I was the first time I didn't have a title was
uh-huh.
like I gave up Miss Lakeland in March, and so this has been my first. I remember the first time I got all dressed up to go somewhere, and I like looked at myself. I was like, "This outfit needs a crown. What is going on? Like I'm not used to." It's been 5 years.
Yeah, that's true. You're so used to it now. It's kind
Yes,
of like,
it's
what do I
yes.
do?
But some of the most incredible
Weird.
experiences, I cannot stress that enough. And if anyone has any questions in any state, I'm sure Elizabeth will put my handles on here. But
Yeah.
I love to talk about it. I love to talk about the things that I went through, and I specifically love to help anyone that has not necessarily won their first local and just needs a little
Hmm.
bit of encouragement. I think that is so sweet, and
Oh,
it
you're
makes
so
it so
kind.
much sweeter. Oh, thank you. You are too.
I can see why the good karma has been given to you. I can see why you're going great places and spaces because you really are you're a queen in the way, not just because you have 5 local crowns,
Mhm.
but because you give back and you do so much for the pageant community, for the girls. Like, oh, bless you. We need more
Thank
yous in the world.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I'm really excited that Miss Lakeland that we're integrating into this year is we're actually going to do some workshops. We're like
Hmm.
totally free workshops for anyone, not just people competing in Miss Lakeland, but anyone
Yeah.
interested in competing in the Florida
That's
system, Miss America,
amazing.
Florida, just to
Okay.
have, because I think there's not enough emphasis on, free resources for these girls that are competing just to
Hmm.
understand what to, because just to understand, what wardrobe do we need, just to give people a
What
place
to
to
expect.
practice their walking and just
Mm-hmm.
have a safe environment. Because
Oh, that's
I'm
awesome.
really excited. So anyone interested in coming out for that, there'll be
Yeah.
information on the Miss Lakeland Instagram sooner rather than later. But yeah, we're excited to do a bunch of new things this year. So.
Wow, that really is awesome that you're providing that for not just even people in the Miss Florida organization, but I do think it's so sweet because I see how like, my Sunshine Princess was Tori Sanza and then
No! What?
yeah,
I didn't know that. So,
yeah.
because she was Miss Apopka.
Yes,
What?
exactly. And I remember I was talking to her about her social impact initiative, and we're both like, man, like you get so much as Miss Apopka, like it's amazing.
My face was in City Hall for 2 years because I was Miss Apopka during COVID, so I did 2 years as Miss Apopka.
Ooh.
And yeah, they love Miss Apopka. Oh
Oh
my
man,
goodness. It was,
that's
yes, that
amazing.
sisterhood is strong. Because the
Yes.
girl who actually is also a full-time performer and was my first
Yeah.
runner-up actually won Miss Apopka this year, so I was really, really happy. Her name's Riley.
Aw.
But it's such a sisterhood, that's such a strong, and there's some really incredible local organizations in
Yeah,
Florida.
because I was
I
gonna say
think,
these small West Coast, or I don't know
yes,
if I can call them West Coast,
and
but
the
like Central
South,
Florida,
and Miss
West Coast.
Miami, they got
Oh,
all.
I love. Well, it's crazy too because I met the Miss Miami director at New York Fashion Week many, many years ago,
Okay.
and it like random, but she and knew my ex-boyfriend. Like that was like so out of nowhere. And so like, but we bonded. She has a modeling agency, modeling school, and
Yeah,
then
I knew
she
that.
helped me with my runway walk for Miss Florida USA. And then that's kind of really
Amazing.
what propelled me for my modeling stuff. But she does such an amazing job with the Miss Miami organization too. So I'm like,
Yes.
these local pageants are really where it's at.
They are.
They're
It's the
so
heart. It's
great.
the heart and soul of the organization, and I think that's what
Agreed.
makes the Miss America organization also really unique because you have to
Yes.
win a local, and not in every
Hmm.
state, but especially, I mean, in Florida, we all know Florida is a very competitive pageant
Oh yeah.
state, and
Hmm.
so it's a prestigious honor to do that,
Hmm.
and I think that it just makes it even more special when you have that local crown because
Yes.
you have to win it. You have to earn that ticket to go to Miss
Well,
Florida.
also too, with all the locals that you won, did you have a team behind you, like your local director? You are the local board helping the Lakeland team. Like, did you have the sponsors and all these other
It's
because you had
it's
so much support.
Yes, I was so lucky because the locals that I got the honor to represent had some just incredible support from the cities, from the board. I am
Mm.
so incredibly lucky. So the first year I was Miss Pinellas County, and I was blessed with. Unfortunately, though their local is no longer with us because of some health issues with the director, who was just such
Okay.
a. But she believed in me so much when I didn't know what I was doing, and
Oh,
that was just such a spark from that just propelled me into this organization, and I've been so incredibly lucky. The Miss Lakeland organization now has grown into, because when I won, it was they had just gotten a new director, and they have taken this.
mm.
They wanted one girl, and now we have some things I can't announce yet, but
Okay.
so exciting announcements that they've just taken this
Oh,
organization, and the competition this year is going to be incredible.
yeah.
New venue, so many exciting things are happening.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be really, really cool. So I've been lucky. I had some great people behind me, and
Mhm.
the support that they give you,
Yes.
that's what you need. And I think, Miss Florida specifically, they don't really, they want everyone to show up as their authentic self and not,
Yes.
that's what they're all about. And so I had some
Mhm.
amazing people that helped me and poured into me, but that was really what helped me to get through it.
Yeah. No, and then when you say that too, it makes me think of like the phrase like think globally, act locally. And in a
Yes.
way, whether it's the local pageants, but also the local community service work that you do, because I really do feel like the organization, and I mean all pageants too, but they, or at least during my time there, it was like you are volunteering every week. You
Yes.
are going out there, you are making a difference. And
Yes.
and that was way more beneficial for me than any, 3 minutes on the stage and doing a push-up. Oh, that was what I was going to say. Did you have to do
I
a
never did the
push-up?
push-up because I never did teen. If I had not gone and sang at Carnegie Hall that year, I would have done the push-up. I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember I went to Miss America's Outstanding Teen Finals when they were in Orlando
I was exhausted watching them.
This must have been, I don't know, 2012. And I remember watching them. I was like, this isn't fair to us singers because the dancers, they did a high kick. And I remember this girl's her foot went like behind her head on like past a 90-degree angle. And I was like, listen, I've taken dance for many years, but I could actually never. And
no,
I was just like,
them and I'm tired. I'm like, I can't.
I'm happy we don't do that anymore.
Oh my God. I will say, if there's one thing I'm glad Robin did is like she did not have to do that like
when we heard there was fitness at first, like we're like, I really hope they're not going to put like, listen, anyone over the age of 25 on the stage to it. Let's raise the age and then let's make them all do a push up and a high kick on stage.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm sure that pageant exists, but it's nothing we'll be competing in.
Nope. It's okay. I was like, oh yeah, yep. I'm glad that Robin,
I never did it, but
she just gets us. It's great.
Yes, she does. It was I love the modeling of the fitness wear, but the push-ups on the stage, because it's not that I couldn't do it. I just don't think I could do it in that, right?
No,
that would be the one time that I would not make it back up.
I did a plank because I couldn't do the push-up, and then I ran the opposite direction. It was horrible.
Perfect.
I was like, I hope they like my personality and they think it's quirky. Like,
it is.
Yeah, but still, I do think it's really cool too that you are doing theater and commercial print modeling. And did you always have a passion for theater, or did that kind of come through pageants as well?
So theater was always my first love. Acting was always my first love. So we had at my elementary school, they really pushed. We all had to do a play every single year. Wow. And actually, I don't know if you are familiar. You're from Orlando, where the Bob Carr used to be.
Yeah.
So the 6th grade play was always at the Bob Carr. It was like a one night only thing. So at 12 years old, I was doing a show with the Bob Carr.
Oh my God.
And I always knew it was what I wanted to do. And I had this amazing drama teacher in the 3rd grade who I knew I had an amazing drama teacher all through elementary school, but this one specific person just really changed my whole outlook of wow, I want to do this professionally. I don't just love this. This is what I want to do for my life. And it was just, there was never really any doubt. And, it wasn't, I never really expected to come back to Florida. Pageantry is really what brought me back home, among many other things.
Okay.
My dream was to move to New York, and it still is. And we are actually in the midst of that happening in the next year, which is very exciting. But it was just the perfect plan for me, because if COVID hadn't happened, which we all wish it hadn't, but if it hadn't happened, my plan was to do Miss Florida once, maybe twice, and then move. And COVID happened, and I obviously stayed here because there was no leaving. That wasn't an option for many years.
In New York then, Broadway was shut down.
Broadway was shut. There was no Broadway. But I'm very lucky. I wouldn't have been as grown. My relationship with my fiance wouldn't have grown the way it did. And now we're getting married, and he wants to come too. So.
Yeah.
And he does not do theater. He is not. He likes to think he does, but he does not.
Okay, because I remember you posted about how when Miss America lifted the rule about showing your significant other, then you could finally reveal your fiance. I was like, oh my God, how must that have felt?
So my story with this is hilarious because, so I competed. I was Miss Apopka until end of 2021. I aged out of Miss America twice. So originally they raised the age to 20. At the time it was 24.
26 or something.
They raised it to 26. And so because of COVID. So literally, I'll just be real. So I got engaged in 2021. I've been engaged almost 3 years now. I got engaged, technically, yes. He proposed in September of 2021. And I thought I was aging out. I thought I was done competing.
Exactly. It's the perfect time.
The next day, he actually proposed to me on stage at my school. So we were in Oklahoma with family and friends and all that. So then we were flying home. We're at the airport, and I'll just be very real. I was reading the void boards.
We'll talk about those.
We don't need to talk about those, but if you know, you know. Just because I was, what's going on in the pageant world? And, yes. Which we don't read the void boards if you're listening to this. Please don't.
Well, if you do read the void boards, know that everybody who writes on those things are losers that need to hide behind a screen and can't tell you in person. So just take everything with a grain of salt times infinity. Like, cutting it.
At the time, I was looking for a specific I was not trying to read anything negative, but I was looking for a specific announcement, which is what I read on there, which was that if Miss America was raising the age or not, because there had been talks of it, and I was trying to find out if that was happening. And that day at the airport is where I read that it was happening. And then the official announcement came like a few days later. But so then I was like, had this decision to make of what do I do? And, you know, my fiance and I talked about it, and he was like, you know, you should do it again. I know you want to, you know, we're not in a rush. Like, you do it again. We'll be here for you either way. So I did it again. And then Miss America raised the age again. So then I did it one more time.
Gosh.
And I actually could have competed this year. I could have competed this year, but I said no. You know when it's time. And I did not, I was done. I was ready. So like I could have done 2024 this last month. I could have done it one last year, eligibility wise, but I was done.
What made you want to end it then? Was it your patient fiance?
I mean, my poor fiance, truly. You can only put him through so much, but in all honesty, it wasn't just that. I was ready. I didn't have the time to focus on my career, especially in theater, as much because I was so focused on Miss America, Miss Florida, and I just knew it was time, especially with ending it with Miss Lakeland. I had the most perfect end to my time in the Miss America Organization. I got to feel like I was Miss Florida because we had such an amazing local that year, and I got to have that moment, and there was nothing that really to me would have topped that. And I realized that I enjoyed so much getting to help the girls because even though I wasn't on the board last year, I still got to like help out and, you know, just do little things. And they asked me to be on the board when I was still Miss Lakeland. I just couldn't officially accept that until I was over a year out since competing. You have to, I had to wait a year. So, but it's been incredible. It was totally the right decision for me. I have no regrets about it. I got to do everything I wanted to do in my time in Miss America. And then I got to go into like planning a wedding and having that. And poor thing did not need to wait any longer for that.
Yeah, but I do think it's crazy because I remember Savvy Shields would share about how she would hide her boyfriend when she was Miss America, and I was like, golly, like that's so weird. You know what I mean? It's
incredible. Yeah, I didn't talk a lot about him, obviously, while I was competing, but like everyone knew, and he showed up to Miss Florida with a tie with my face on it, which is a true story. He still has it.
I love it.
You know, but so I couldn't really talk about it. So like forever I was engaged, but like couldn't say I was engaged, you know, and so when Miss America got engaged this year and it's all the free for all, I was like, woohoo, I'm wearing my ring. I don't care. And I knew I wasn't competing again at that point. So
it's true. By that point, whatever.
By that point, as long as I'm not breaking any rules and I'm, you know, going by the books, I am good. But it was just, he's been wonderful. He actually came, but we were friends because I didn't want to get into a relationship when I won Miss Apopka, and he had never been to a pageant, and I didn't think he was going to come. I guess I invited him. We were like kind of sort of had been on like 2 dates at that point. And my a mentor of mine was there and saw him in the audience, and I guess he was when I won, and he was just standing there, but apparently just with a stunned expression on his face. And she was like, you can go up there. And she was determined to get a picture of us because she knew what was coming. And she always says, like, you didn't know it was about to hit you, but I did. And so we have a picture together when I won Miss Apopka. And,
oh my God.
little did I know, which I did not know. He knew. I didn't know. It took me a while to come around.
It's amazing how so many aspects of your life, like pageantry, kind of like, I don't want to
Yes,
say infiltrates it, but like it just crosses that path,
it
and then you see it, and
does.
it makes the pageant so much more meaningful because you're like,
Yes.
wow.
Yes. And now
He's
he's seen way
watching
too
it.
many pageants than he probably ever thought he would have to in his life.
So funny. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh.
So if you move to New York, do you see yourself working with the Miss New York organization?
I would, so I am a very loyal person, and I would still
Got
want
it.
to virtually work with Miss Lakeland and come back and
Ah.
volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm lucky. I always have a home in Central Florida, so I would
True.
definitely want to
True.
at least come back for the locals and Zoom or whatever I need to
Absolutely.
do. Maybe
Oh, that's
also, but like I don't see myself. I might physically. I'm also such a person who will travel and
yes.
um
And for everything that the Miss Lakeland team has done for you for
oh
your
my gosh,
last year and
I am
everything, I
so loyal
totally
to
see that.
them.
Mm-hmm.
They have done everything and they love their girls and I love
Oh.
them. So no, I wouldn't go join. I wouldn't run away.
No, I
um
was like, well, if you're there, anyways,
Well,
and
no, if I'm
especially too,
there, I
because
mean, listen, I
yeah,
would love to eventually, not anytime soon, but eventually get certified to judge. And if I'm there, you know,
yeah.
why I totally would. But as
That's
far
a
as
good point. The Miss America judges have that whole process, right? That they
yes,
have to get
yes,
certified to do.
yes. So there is yes, there is a process, but you know, a lot of when you're on a board, a lot of you have to be farther out than I am from competing. It's I think like two or three. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know the rules change as everything does,
True, true. As the
but
pageant has changed as well.
they
Like
change every year, so we don't know
everything.
what's
Right? You
going
never
on.
know what to
But when
expect.
I can, I would love to. I've gotten to judge Cinderella and Sunburst. I judged Sunburst
Mm-hmm.
Internationals in last
Oh
year. So
wow.
yeah, it's I like to just be able to give back and also
Mm-hmm.
in that regard. So
I love it. I love it. So, okay, I know we said a lot of good things, but what would you say is the number one biggest benefit that you gained through pageants?
wow. Oh, let's when I started competing, I don't really think I knew. Well, when I started competing in Miss America, when I started competing in pageants, I was a child. But when I started competing in Miss America, I was very insecure. I didn't really know who I was. And I still say, and I stand by this, that pageantry is one of the hardest things I have ever done as far as a person performing. You know, I do on stage and I am on stage for my job and and I've learned a show in a day and that doesn't even compare to, you know, a 10-minute interview or being asked an on stage question. I mean, it's a whole new level of pressure and being
Mm-hmm.
able to know that I've done that not once, but many, many, many times.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to handle high stakes situations with grace and poise. And now being able to take that into my career, I have just learned how to do that with such ease and a sense of confidence in myself. I know I can walk into just about any interview or
Mm-hmm.
audition and just at least, even if I'm not exactly what they're looking for or the right fit, I know that I'm at least going to be able to handle myself with professionalism and answer
Mm-hmm.
any question that anyone asks me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to share a quick little story. So I was at an audition 2 weeks ago
Mm-hmm.
for an event that I've worked in the past. So the whole creative team knew me and knew my
Mm-hmm.
history with pageants because I have worked with them for many years. But you always have to go an audition every year.
Yeah.
So we did it was an improv exercise, and then they had us go down the line and answer a question. And this was a holiday event. So it was, what's your favorite thing about Halloween and or Christmas? And so I answered it and was myself and answered it like I just thought I would answer it. I was the first person to go. It
Yeah.
was a group audition, kind of like a casting.
Mm-hmm.
So there were multiple people
Yeah.
in the room. The director knows me, and he just goes, Amanda, that was the most perfect pageant answer I have ever heard. And everyone started clapping.
That's what I want to do for Halloween. That's right. That's
And
right.
I said for Christmas, I was like, we can all agree on what music to listen to for once. I don't have to talk. I don't care if you don't like Christmas music. That's what we're listening. It was just, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it was just the first thing you think of. And
Yeah.
that is just, your brain just turns into pageant mode. And it was so,
Mm-hmm.
being able to do that in any circumstance, I think is the biggest thing that I have gained from that, among many, many, many others.
Yeah.
But that's a
No,
skill you take with you, no matter what industry you're going into. I
mm-hmm.
mean, forget theater. If you're interviewing for any job, I mean, that's
Yeah.
a skill you have to get. And it doesn't matter what crown you walk away with, you'll gain those skills through any pageant, but specifically with the Miss America organization.
That's beautiful. I love it. Okay. I'm going to wrap up this interview. So, was there anything else that I didn't ask you that you would like to share?
Let me think. Ooh. I guess I'll just leave with some words of inspiration, because I think that was all of the major topics that encompass my life. But what I would say to anyone who wants to compete, and not just in Miss America, but in any pageant, has maybe been told, you're not the typical pageant girl, or you don't have the right look or the right body or this or that the things that make you doubt yourself or make you not the right girl for a certain crown or a certain job or anything in life are the things that are going to make you right for the things that are right for you and are the right place for you. Maybe there's a certain system you've always wanted to win and you just want to win that system. Well, the things that might be making you not the right representative for that system are going to be the things that make you the right representative for the system that you are meant to serve. And I know that you've seen that exactly with Nation of States and how incredible, you're not going to win every single pageant, but where you are exactly meant to be is where you're going to be able to find yourself. And that's what I would just tell anyone, because, when I was 9 years old and I didn't win Miss Florida preteen, I thought my life was over. There's so much ahead of you, and I really think that this is such an incredible sport, if I do say so, that there is the right, a great hockey player is not going to be a great gymnast, and there's kind of there's a spot and a place for everyone. So find your spot, find your place, and go for it. And if you fall, 7 times, get up 8. This is what you got to do.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, thank you so much, Amanda. I really appreciate you being on.
Thank you so much.
Of course. All right. Well, signing off, she is former Miss Lakeland and current Lakeland Board of Directors, Amanda Kronhaus.
Woo! Thank you.